All right. See the natural settlings that can happen. So today is the last day that we'll be doing this particular technique. And if you keep that in mind, that's an appropriate, by the way, for this particular topic for today. It may make a difference in the quality of our 5 minutes of meditation. Have you ever been doing something that you just really didn't want to be doing, like your parents sent you to a camp, and it turned out to be sort of like a boot camp, and oh, if I should go home, and then it's the last day, and you'll never be seeing all those people again, and you won't, or the last day of a class that's or a job, or okay, so has a special quality perhaps. Anyway, all right, we'll have our 5 minutes. So this image is the classic representation of the Buddha in his last day or hours before he enters nirvana, and that's the pose, and it's a kind of yogic pose. All right. So announcements. The midterm, you'll be glad to hear, probably. You'll be answering 2 essay questions, not 3, the way I said before, and it'll be out of 6, so you'll have lots of choice. This is designed to make you less anxious. And in fact, the whole purpose of having a midterm, it's a hassle for you. It's also a hassle for us. It would be much more fun not to have one. But it's to make you, imagine if you didn't have a midterm, the state you would be in by the time you got to the final. So, and it's also to bring you up to date on material, because you will discover when we hit the Mahayana that it's based on all this stuff. And people who start getting Mahayana teachings without this background trip out in various peculiar ways. So now that you're up to snuff because you've got an exam, you will see what it's all about when we go to the next stage. So bring your blue books, and here's the room information, okay? The overflow room, if you come, there are a few more people enrolled than we have seats for, so if you come and there are no more seats, then you go to 105 Gwinnell, which is right on this floor. It's relatively easy to find in this place. And the DSP room is G75 in Tolman, and there are the instructions about how to get to it. It will be, all you have to do is go in the lower part of Tolman, go down 1 floor, go through the door into ground, and there'll be signs. And if you're worried about that, you can just follow me back to Tolman at the end of the class, and I will take you down and show you. I'm kind of a spatial idiot, so I empathize with your worries, if in fact you're worried. Okay, now the October 17th class, that's the Monday when you're recuperating from at least this midterm. We don't know about your other midterms. There's going to be a video of a marvelous Vietnamese teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a monk and a teacher and a poet and a peace activist and So it will not be webcast because of copyright problems. So to see it, you need to come to class. It's also a kind of a vintage recording of him. Okay, the review. So we had 3 introductory lectures, which I will now call the 3 warnings. And the first was that concepts are going to be used in a different way than we're used to, and you've met the readings, and you now know that that's what's happening. They point to the way our mind of samsara works, but they also point beyond it. There's a different approach to motivation, that the motivations that we normally have, desire and avoidance and ignorance, don't really bring satisfaction, so they don't work for us. And that we actually can operate otherwise than in this usual way. There'll be more about that a little bit today and a lot in future classes. But the thing is, this actually ties into the concept issue, that these teachings are given from this other point of view. And so that ties warning 1 and warning 2 together. And finally, it's understood that mind and world have a different relation than we usually think. And that's expressed by that there's a subject of each of the 6 senses, mind being the 6th. There's an object, there's a relation between them. And the teachings of the realms and so on is showing how in particular kinds of situations where your desire, avoidance, and ignorance is operating in a particular way, that defines and creates a different kind of who I am and who or what I'm interacting with is and what kind of an interaction we're having. Okay, then we met meditation and mindfulness. That really is your laboratory. It's the microscope. It's also going to be the telescope. It's the tool for discovery of how the mind is actually working. That's why it's the laboratory. It's also a tool for healing, and Jennifer Dobermeyer's talk pointed that out. And that's also true in Buddhist tradition. The early monks were allowed to carry. They were wanderers. They were allowed to carry almost nothing with them. They had their set of robes, and they had begging bowls to get food and a few little other things. And amongst those few little other things was medicine. So they were also wandering doctors. And discovery and healing are related. And there's a wonderful Chinese proverb, with harmony. And that's the kind of peacefulness and everything working together that meditation can bring, the mind and the body brought together instead of the mind running around and the body being left behind, comes constancy, or mindfulness, that is, that, you can actually be with what's going on. And from the constancy of being naturally mindful comes insight. Okay, then content of the class, what mindfulness discovers. And this is the first round, or the first yana, the first pack, what they point out. Okay, 3 marks of distance. Impermanence. You may be thinking, oh, right, I've heard it, you repeated impermanence times and say something new for a change. And who cares? Or as one colleague told me back when I was silly enough to talk about this stuff to them, but I just got a new car stereo, so I wouldn't have to pay attention to anything. Okay, well, this is an email that I got from a student in the last time this class was taught. And now, now I finally am understanding something about the class email, and that I've been shown what Buddhism is really about. How was she shown? Okay. Tuesday, this was on Friday. Tuesday, I was riding my bike when a car crashed into me. I was airborne for about 15 feet before my head crashed into the car. The collision knocked me unconscious, and my face was severely wounded. Despite the blood pouring from my head, I woke up momentarily in the ambulance. When I realized where I was, and foremost, that I didn't know how I had gotten there, I started laughing. It seemed so amusing that I could be leading such an average day 1 minute by riding my bike, only to be engulfed in pain in an ambulance the next minute. So as I was laughing in the ambulance, my first words were, life is transitory. I can imagine the medic who was there with her. It was then that I truly understood the impermanence of existence. Our lives can change, end, and begin again, an important point, all in a split second. Remember, mindfulness of life. Nothing is permanent. Nothing remains stable. Transience is inevitable. So don't wait till the car hits your bike to understand this. She goes on, but we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. Egolessness, which is that not only is everything transient, but so is the observer, that there isn't this solid platform for it to land on. And connecting with that can be a tremendous release for people, a release from the kind of guilt. And that what I have seen is that when people begin to tune into that, there's a sort of, oh. And with that, oh, of now I know what I'm not responsible for, it's possible to take responsibility in a kind of reasonable way and do a lot more than when one is enclosed in this fantasy about ego and what I can do. And by the way, this sense of egolessness, there's some of you who know about Freud or are reading about it. What he calls ego is really pretty close to the Buddhist sense of egolessness. That is, it's a reality principle that actually looks around and sees things and sees all this craziness inside and says, all right, well, how can I kind of, do the best I can with the crazy inside and the reality outside? So don't get trapped by words. Okay, and that's also, and we'll see more of this later, you were saying you got excited about the karma and blaming victims and so on. Well, when you actually see what what people are not responsible for in their lives, then the blame evaporates and you start to act realistic. Okay, third mark of existence, suffering. And I talked about the power of connecting with that and ceasing to run from it and all that. And so this email goes on. Another thing, the Buddhist practice of breathing is what helped me through the pain of this event. Whenever I was forced to undertake some new ordeal, like a needle being jabbed into my face, I would concentrate, notice my breathing. And you won't believe this, but I actually could get real. And that helped me more than anything I have ever learned. Okay, the three poisons, these are your samsaric motivations, and we've gone over this, the desire system, the fear aggression system, and the ignorance system. And the question is, where do they come from? How do they get their power? And of course, and what else is there? So this is the answer of how the whole thing develops. And that was the five skandhas: form, their duality, our pesky subject and object relation again, and just every time you look at something, that's what's happening. Okay, the I organ, the thing, relationship, so on. Feeling, we've got a body, we've got a mind, therefore positive, negative, neutral things. Perceiving the world through that, and the impulse to act on the basis of it, the formations, the groupings, the concepts, the habits result from that, causality over time. Consciousness, coming up through all that, and the realms in consciousness. So how the desire, aggression, and ignorance become total environments in their gross forms, the lower realms, and the subtler forms. And people seem to kind of get with the realms. They made some psychological sense. I won't go over those. Okay.